many salutations to viewers and coins of the vault alike. I am Tatsumari, the self-proclaimed keeper of Maple Story lore. There are many who do it, but I am the only one who does it like me. So today, we are doing what I didn't have the energy to do last night, which was have a stream where I'd be reading stories written by you, the audience, live on stream. It was following the prompt from following a prompt that was done, and you're gonna be reading those short stories tonight. I was gonna do them last night, but like I said, I just didn't have the energy. I was pretty pooped, and I just, bleh, it wouldn't have been a good stream. So, with that in mind, we're doing it tonight. However, usually I play Minecraft while I'm doing this, but I have some story editing that I want to get done for Legends of Osiria. Well, actually, not really Legends of Osiria. It's Guardians, really. But, yeah, that's what's going on here. Pizza Gamer over on YouTube. I'm sorry it took me so long to see your message. I'm not really either one of those people. I'm just trying to, if a person has either one, I'll at least be friendly to it, but I'm not really a dog or a cat person. Lamperdoodle! Welcome, how you doing? Over on Twitch. Alrighty. So, let us see what exactly we're going to do here. Let me see if I can get into the writing office. There we go. All right. So, up above me, over on YouTube, and above me on Twitch over here, you'll see the rules and the writing prompt that we're going to be working on today. If you would like to have something read, you can use, I believe the command is up in the rules over there, so you can have something read that you wrote live on stream. And from there, I am actually going to be working on some editing over here while we're waiting for those submissions. However, for the Twitch audience, we are going to have to take a small break because Twitch needs to take its pound of flesh. If you are immune to ads, cool. If not, well, you'll be back shortly. And then we'll get started with it while we're waiting for submissions. Pizza Gamer, like I said, I'm not really for either or against either. I'm just kind of And that's over on the YouTube audience. So, yeah. Either way, I have 2 cats already. They're okay, but they're really more so my mom's cats than anything. You're a cat person, totally. Okay, whatever. Anyways, but yeah. Dragons are just cats with wings. Ah, I see. Okay. Yeah, I totally don't see it. Either way, like I said, we're going to take a small little break over here, let Twitch take its pound of flesh, and then we shall get going underway. So don't go anywhere. We shall be right back after these massages. All right, so that's over with. Okie dokie. So now, oh, right. Let's see. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna put this off to here. There. All right. Cool. So, like I said, I am going to be editing on this over here. Would you guys like me to read the story out as I edit it? Or would you care to just hang out as we kind of wait for submissions? Either way, it's all right with me. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. Actually want to do this. No. I actually want to do this over here. There we go. That's what I wanted. Give me a second, guys. I can't quite see your responses yet, so give me just a second. Nope. There we go. All right. So, what I'm going to be doing is, while I am writing, I can't exactly share the music on here because YouTube is probably going to ding me pretty hard and it's going to be all kinds of bad. So, and especially with this new AI gunk that they've been rolling around, it's probably going to be all kinds of bad. So, instead, I'm going to share a playlist that I like to listen to. And this is all kinds of music that I have found all over YouTube, and all of it is just stuff. There's no really, most of it that really doesn't have any words to it. It's just vibe stuff that I like to listen to while I'm writing. And there's all kinds in here. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. Give me a second. I am trying to get my YouTube audience a link for it. There we go. You can check out the playlist there. And in this particular playlist, I am going to be listening to... as soon as I can get there. I'm going to be starting with the third video in the playlist, which is 1 Hour Pure Sadness Motion Emotional Sad Music Volume 2. It should have the picture of like this, like an angel-looking girl as the thumbnail, talking to a kid. And that's where I shall be starting to listening from. You don't have to... You can listen along with me if you want, or you can listen to any other music you desire to along the way. But either way, that's what's going on here, so that way we can, like, have music without having music, if it makes sense. All right, so originally, back to my original question. Would you guys like me to read out the story as I'm editing it, or just kind of sit and vibe and stuff? Regathered the black wings. Okay. Well, since actually it's going to be pretty blank if I don't do something on the stream on the VOD. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this out as we're going on while we're waiting for submissions. We're really kind of waiting for submissions for the writing prompt that's above me. And there are the rules and the prompt there. And then if you want to have it read live on stream, the command should be there. You can put it either on the YouTube chat or the Twitch chat, and it'll bring up a little message on my side saying, "Hey, pay attention to me." All right. But until then, let the editing commence. When would he learn that no one was more powerful than himself? From the darkened door, Eleanor... Oh, no. From behind him, Eleanor put her arms around his chest, leaning against him. Is something bothering you? EJ Sean! Alright, cool. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the lurk. And I hope you're having a good evening tonight. If you haven't already seen, we're kind of waiting for submissions to see if anybody's going to submit for the writing prompt that's above my head. But until then, I'm going to be doing some editing. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for the lurk. And I hope you have a great evening. Is something bothering you? She asked with a... I want to make sure I use this word right. Okay. Oh, no. Oh. Okay, that's what it is. All right. The black... Okay. She asked with a soft, dulcet tone. The black mage faced her for a moment, returning to the crystal ball, showing her a cloaked figure similar to himself. All right. Okay, let's see. In his crystal ball, similar to himself. Okay. An image of a cloaked figure in his crystal ball, similar to himself. Okay. It is amusing to know that he thinks he could overpower you, Eleanor snickered, moving to the front. If he would like, I could deal with him myself and rid the world of this little annoyance of yours. The black mage shook his head. Holding up his hand as a picture of their friend, Mr. Giant, waddled down a path. Waddling down a path. If all goes as planned, they should meet in Lith Bay just as they are finishing with Mono. The black mage nodded. in response, as questioning whispers surrounded her, dispelling the picture. Yes, I did put the weakening spell on him. They should be... They should... I should have the strength to release Mr. Giant from his stony seal and let the gentleman in him shine out. The Black Mage's eyes smiled as he bent down and kissed the top of Eleanor's head, looking out the window of his fortress, where the ocean... let's see. The ocean glistening in the distance. There we go. You will be made to understand what it is. You will be made to understand what it is to wield power. No. That sounds clunky. You understand what it means to wield power. There we go. Fate shall be your teacher, Dragon Rider. Eleanor thought, turning and disappearing in a cloud of black mana to her and teleporting in a cloud of black mana to her own room of research. Jenny stood at the bow of the ship alone, looking up at the stars. She tried to imagine what her life would be like without Olsen in it. Her thoughts... Let's see. Let's see, her thoughts wandered back to her past. When they first met as kids. Jenny had wandered off in the mall away from her mother, thinking since her Jenny had wandered off in the mall, thinking since her mom always called her a big girl that she could go off on her own. Little did she know how big the mall really was. And soon she was lost, searching up and down the racks of clothes, unable to find her mother's familiar green eyes and comforting arms. Eventually, she crawled under a rack of clothes and cried, wishing that her mother would come up and find her right where she was. From nowhere, a boy with golden hair knelt and asked her what was wrong. "I'm lost and can't find my mommy," she cried, trying to wipe the tears from her eyes. The boy held out his hand to her, telling her that he knew of a place where her mommy would be able to find her just like that, snapping his fingers. Something in Jenny's mind told her she could trust him. And let the boy lead her to the service counter. The boy asked her name, The boy asked her name, telling the man behind the counter the situation. Let's see. Hunter, who soon called over the loud speaker soon made an announcement over the speakers. You'll be all right. Oops, wait. And let the boy release your... There we go. For her name, telling the man who soon announced announced over the speakers that Jenny was waiting for her mom. You'll be all right. Your mom will be here shortly. He said. And turned to leave with a stern-looking man waiting for him. Oops. Yeah. Turned to leave with a stern-looking man. Jenny grabbed his hand and held on with all the strength she had. The boy looked back. To the man who crossed his arms and waited. Right, ads on the music. Bleh. All right. So looked at the man, crossed his arms and waited. My name's Olson, the boy said, but Jenny said nothing. She was feeling too scared. Within minutes, her mother came right up to them, hugging Jenny tightly, then walking hand in hand back into the mall. Wilson, I think it was that very moment I began to love you. She thought, as she stared over the star-filled sky. May came up behind her, unsure what to say, until Jenny laughed and turned back to her. It's okay, I'm not going to turn you into ash. May laughed nervously and walked closer to her. Tell me something, Jenny. Aren't you ever afraid of these things that you encounter? Jenny nodded. Jenny nodded slowly. Sometimes I'm scared out of my mind. So why can't your parents do the job? They seemed hundreds of times stronger. May argued. Jenny sighed. Making her boot thud, her boot toe thud against the deck boards. I think that's where we go. Because we may be weaker, but they no longer carry the power to defeat the Black Mage. We do. We may be scared, but we have an entire world counting on us to stop him. So we have to press on, despite our fear. seems like a heavy burden. It seems like such a heavy burden. I know I couldn't do it, May said with a downcast face. Jenny smirked as the sky began to change into reds and pinks with the rising of the sun just over the horizon. You could if you had to. Here, I'll show you how to use a bow. It's easy, Jenny said, holding out her bow to her. May at first refused, but after many an insistence from Jenny, she took the bow and borrowed her aqua brace gloves. Jenny then molded her into a perfect form, while May performed multiple draws and releases on the vaulter bow. Athena stood on the stairs leading to the hold, watching as Jenny taught the very basics to May. She smiled as she watched them. Jenny would make an excellent master archer one day. She decided against telling them of their descent and walked back into the hold until they landed in Lith. Weaving their way around after disembarking, they weaved their way around thickets and brambles surrounding the town. It wasn't easy. Greg noticed that some of the trees had small rubies or sapphires clinging to them. But as he leaned in to better see, Supernova! Welcome. How you doing? He found they weren't jewels, but brightly colored snails. He reached out to pick one up. But Grindel appeared next to him and slapped his hand away. Don't touch them. Those snails' shells produce a potent poison that could kill you if it stayed on your skin too long. Oops. There we go. Oops. This is what I want. There we go. All right. There we are. Oops. There we go. Greg rubbed his reddened skin and walked away, staring at the snails and thankful that his father had been there to stop him. As they searched, stickers and foxtails caught in their clothes, making the journey to the shore of thorns, Mono's home, almost unbearable. After an hour of trekking, they came to a thick wall of vines and thorns. Greg was the first to examine it, searching for a way to spread the bush aside to get through, with little to no luck.
It's useless. We'll try to see if there's a way around,
he sighed. Jenny growled and reached for her bow. I don't have time for this! She braced her stance, knocked... Happy, not gonna lie, I'm excited as getting groceries tomorrow, getting some new headphones. Also, I finished mostly my timeline and some of my info, my carry stuff. Nice! Very nice, Suonova! Knocked an arrow and compressed a massive amount of emerald power at the tip. Athena grabbed May as Helen... Somebody over here on YouTube eats volcanoes. Okay. Well then. I guess you like it spicy. As Helen covered them with her cloak. It wasn't as impervious as It wasn't as impervious to physical objects as Matthew's, but it would at least guard them against the thick vines. Guard them from the thick vine shrapnel. Shrapnel, okay. Let's see. Taisa? Aylin. I'm just gonna call you Aylin, so that way I don't completely butcher the name, because I don't think I could be able to say that quickly. Grendel grabbed Gregory and put up a barrier as Jenny let the arrow go, blasting a hole through the vines as if a cake of C4 explosives. This cake of C4 had detonated. Jenny! You must not be so... Oops. Oops. No. Must not be so impulsive, Athena scolded, grabbing Jenny hard by the shoulder. Jenny pulled away and faced her. Olsen is suffering from a virus that will kill him if we don't get an all cure to him. If I'd gone with him, then none of this would be happening. Grendel approached, looking at her hard with a blazing light in his unusually kind blue eyes.
Jenny, I understand your pain, but if you continue this way, putting the life of your loved one above anyone else, then you will fail in your duty to Osiria.
How am I supposed to help Osiria if I can't even help one person I care about? Helen stormed between Athena and Grendel, slapping Jenny hard. If you can't think with your head in this situation, then you will lose Ulson. Look at the destruction you've caused. That arrow could have obliterated Mono, and then where would we be? If you can't calm yourself, then go back to Herbtown and wait for our return. You're of no use here in this state, she scolded. Amethyst power misting from her back as she spoke. Jenny said nothing for a while, as she could only stare at Helen in shock before slumping her shoulders. You're right. I'll go, Jenny muttered, beginning to walk away until May stepped in her path. Jenny, you can't give up so easily. All right. Didn't you hear what Helen said? She's right. Grendel put a hand on her shoulder. Speaking with a much gentler tone.
Mr. Dew began working on more orange peel potions as we were leaving. He knows how much to use and how much can be used before his body becomes dependent on it. Olson will be fine. I promise as long as you can calm yourself,
Grendel assured her. Jenny sighed profoundly and nodded, turning back to the hole she had made and stepped through. What the vines revealed was a sanctuary. Hundreds of shrubs surrounded them, with snails crawling on the leaves, while small drops of dew fell to the ground. The whole of the group felt tranquility wash over them, uniquely calming Jenny. I don't know. No, that was just no.
Well, you sure are a bunch that's in a hurry. Blowing a hole through my house and then coming in without my invitation is such... Oh, Masters of Osiria! My apologies. I didn't know it was you,
a giant snail said, curling his head down in greeting.
It's all right, old friend. But we did come here to ask you for something.
Grendel smiled.
Of course! Anything to help the Masters of Osiria!
Mono said as he glided before them. His mustache drug on the ground while his shell shone in the sunlight, making rainbows come to life all around him. He was, however, smaller than Jenny or Helen imagined him. The top of his shell came just below the shoulder, but the moss and lichens that grew on it brought his height to about ear level.
We have a dear friend of ours infected with the burning virus. Zakum's blood has all gone, and the only other thing that will serve as a replacement is a piece of your shell.
Grendel explained. Mono nodded as he approached Oh no. Jenny. No. Right. Stupid. And of course I can't skip it. Oh, it's an ad! A YouTube ad. I hate that. Looking at Jenny and Helen.
And who are these two young women with you?
He asked. Grindal stepped aside slightly and motioned toward each as he spoke.
This is Jenny.
Jenny
Price, the Guardian Archer, and Helen Ullman, the Guardian Mage.
Mono's eyes lit up with a joyous light. Oops. Mono's eyes lit with joy as he smiled broadly.
I never thought I would live to see the day that the Guardians would arrive. So, is it one of you who had the unfortunate turn of catching this virus?
Mono asked, looking to one and then the other. No, Mono. It's my boyfriend, Olsen. The Guardian Ninja. Please, Mono, I don't want to lose him. Mono nodded and smiled.
Of course, young lady. There is no greater purpose than to stand a short period of pain to save a loved one.
Athena produced a small knife she had brought with her, picking a spot that was closest to the edge of his shell and quickly cutting a palm-sized piece of it out a palm-sized piece. I'm sorry, Mono, Jenny said as she wrapped her arms around him in a hug.
That's quite all right, Jenny.
Wait, why is it giving me a ding?
Quite all right, Jenny. However, you will need another piece to your puzzle if you are going to make an effective all cure. You need the fairy's tears to complete it. Otherwise, the cure will be useless.
And where may we locate that? Athena asked. Mono shook his head.
I don't know. There used to be a great potion maker by the name of Mr. Giant who lived around Leafray. But he disappeared many years ago. If you can find him, I'm sure that you will be sure that...
Oh boy, big yawn all of a sudden. I'm sure he will make it for you. The words echoed in all their minds as they left, repairing the damages they had done, and then returning to Lith Bay. Yet another lead turned to a dead end. Well, it seems the rumors are true, King Sage. You really are a cutthroat merchant, even to the degree you even to the degree that you would let a poor boy die because you want a few hundred more coins," Eleanor smoothly said as she entered the sage's palace.
"Well, I do my best. What can I offer you? Or rather, what can you offer me?"
the sage replied sinisterly.
"Oh, please. You don't make a very threatening villain,"
she smiled, pulling back her hood, and shifting her weight to one leg.
"I want your knowledge about the remaining husks." "Those? I might
know a thing or two,
but I require a chest of coins before I can give you that kind of information."
Eleanor looked at him with an annoyed glow in her eyes before producing a small chest, placing it on the floor.
"Yes, this will do nicely."
"Nicely," Sage chuckled, reaching out a hand as the chest levitated into his lap to inspect its contents. As he was opening the lid, Eleanor swatted it closed, holding it there as she waited for Sage to begin talking. With a huff, Sage nodded and began. My god cats have sometimes seen something with certain radiances near the northernmost shore of the Mulung province, though I have not been able to confirm this entirely," he scoffed. Eleanor removed her hand, allowing Sage to eagerly open the chest and reveal it to be full of gold bars, nearly 30 times what he had demanded. "You do know that in giving me this information, you might as well have signed your own death warrant?" Eleanor asked. The sage smiled as he reached for a glass of wine that sloshed as he spread his arms.
"I am a trafficker of information and rare items. I get what I can, where I can. As long as it makes me rich, I care not for the purpose it is used."
Now, this whole exchange here, something I always imagine this particular character... You know what? Hold on. Give me just a second. Let me get out into the yard really quick. And I will kind of show you what I am talking about here. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so first of all, I am basing the character I'm working with is based off of this. It's called. It used to be an area boss in MapleStory, but now it is. I think it is like a questline boss. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't tracked it down yet. But this guy's name is King Sage Cat, and I can't remember like the whole story. It's basically, I think it was like the cat wants to become a human somehow, and like attacking other humans provides him with the power and means to do so. I don't remember exactly what the whole thing was. There used to be a storyline, but it was all part of older MapleStory, so I don't remember exactly what the whole thing was. So, with that one, I was trying to base, like, I imagine him, like, basically give him a human form. Just make him look like a really fat human. So what I was trying to, how I imagine him talking is, let's see. I need to find what the oh, yes. Give me a second. Okay. So, I always in the version of the King Sage cat that I had been working with, I imagine him like a really fat human, but I imagine him as speaking like this guy. Hold on. There we go. I think his name is Dorium. Yes, Dorium from the Doctor Who universe. Hold on. Let me... Come on. There we go. I imagine him talking like this guy from the Doctor Who universe. Or the Who-niverse, as it were. That's what I imagine he speaks like. At least this version of King Sage Cat that I am working with. All right. Let's get back into more stuff. All right. Itchy. All right. It is used for... its purpose. Here we go. Oh, that's why it keeps doing that. Okay, give me just a second, guys. I need to go check on something. All right, there we go. I kept trying to figure out why my laptop... Like, I have my laptop for the YouTube moderation. I kept trying to figure out why the heck it keeps going to sleep. Or trying to go to sleep, and then I looked at it. Oh, it's not plugged in. But wait, it is plugged in. And then I keep looking back. Oh, the thing I have it plugged into. I have it plugged into a power like a surge protector. The surge protector was off. So that's why. And like I have the settings set up in such a way to where once it's plugged in, it doesn't go to sleep. Well, no charging power. It stays on the battery. It's going to go to sleep. All right. The group trudged back to Lith. Jenny especially feeling the weight and rarity of what they needed to find. Don't worry. I'm sure that we'll find it somewhere. Or find him somewhere, encouraged Gregory, who only half believed what he was saying. Jenny nodded and forced a smile. Inside, she felt like breaking down and crying in defeat. She was about to begin speaking when something fell from the sky, the wind whistling around it. Helen grabbed Jenny and teleported her out of the way. Before the thing hit. Dust and dirt flew into the air. From the crater in the cobblestone street. Athena and Grendel prepared to fight, keeping Gregory and May behind them. The thing pulled its legs free, completely ignoring Athena and Grendel at the ready. Beginning beginning to walk toward Jenny and Helen. The being picked up its heavy arms, but was thrown back by Jenny's bomb arrow into a building. Helen teleported in short bursts to the being while swinging her staff as hard as she could, casting a horrendously potent ice spell, encasing it. Jenny then released a humming green spine arrow, pushing the thing through the building. For a moment, all was silent until the being swept the dust aside with a swing of its massively muscular arms. Jenny pulled Helen to her side and wrapped them in her cloak, making the wind completely go around them as if they were a solid pillar of stone. Making the wind go around them as Jenny. Let's see. As Jenny pulled the cloak back, the being rushed them, throwing them to the ground, its hands around their necks and chest. Athena pulled her bow tight, rings of blue flames bursting to life around the arrow as it flew, only to bounce off the creature's shoulder. With a sick clink, it bounced off the creature's shoulder. Right. There we go. The being looked to Athena and opened its yellow eye to her, hitting her and Grendel with another strong gust of wind. Jenny struggled and stretched, reaching for the silver crow on her hip. As she struggled, the being squeezed tighter. Lights began to pop and sparkle in her vision as she reached for the crossbow until, at last, she had it. She pulled it up and shoved the tip into the gut of the creature, making him look down where the bolt had pierced through his clothes. "Take this, you bastard!" she growled and pulled the trigger. The bolt broke through the rock of the being's body and burst from his back in a blast of green flames. The being reeled and let go, holding the area around the hole. Jenny jumped to her feet and began firing arrows, having an aqua flame around them. Aqua flames surrounding them. Aqua flames surrounding each shot as they pierce through the rough skin of the surrounding them as each shot pierced through the monters. Monters. So there's a new word for you guys. Monters. It's a creature that isn't quite scary enough to be a monster, but is still scary. A monter. M-O-N-T-E-R. A monter. Here's how you spell it. Being reeled and let go, holding the area around the hull, around the wound. Aqua flames surrounding each shot as they pierced through the monster's rough skin. Cracks began to appear everywhere an arrow hit, until one struck him in the head and pushed him to the ground, shaking as he fell. Grendel ran to Helen, who had passed out while the creature held them around the throat, waking her with a healing touch. "Where's that thing? Where is that thing?" she asked, sitting bolt upright.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I took... Light billowed from behind her as the creature rose from the ground. The cracks around the arrows shone with the same... From the ground. The cracks around the arrows shining with the same color. The cracks spread across its body until it exploded. Showering them all in pebbles and dirt. Okay, so we do have an ad break over here on the Twitch audience side of things. We do have an ad break coming up. However, I am going to just let that, I'm just going to continue on rolling on through. If you're immune to ads, cool. If not, well, you'll be back in about 3 minutes. All right. How's before they had a chance to unfurl from covering their faces, a comforting voice spoke. A man asked. There we go.
Are you two Jenny and Helen?
A man asked. Helen lowered her arm to reveal a man dressed in an elegant black suit with gray hair and stylish shades to cover his eyes. His gray hair was combed back, and stylish shades covered his eyes. Now, for those of you who are who are sort of kind of alert, this particular NPC that I'm talking about, his name is Hiver. He is most prominently seen in the Yvonne storyline, and he is not a good guy. Whereas this one, I'm working with a slightly different version of him. I'm working with a version of him called Elden Giant. So, yeah, it's going to be slightly different than what you know from the game. Yes, Helen replied nervously. The man walked to them and knelt on one knee, crossing an arm over his chest.
I'm glad I was able to find you. I believe this, the fairy's tears, is what you are looking for.
The man reached into his jacket and produced a dark pink gem-like bottle with a yellow glow emanating from the liquid within. It's liquid, glowing yellow. How did you know we needed that? Jenny asked, as she carefully took the bottle and stared at it.
I have stopped by the King's Sage's residence to ask if anyone had come seeking a way to cure the burning virus. He said that indeed you had come and gone to Mono to seek a piece of his shell, and so with that information, I came here.
Wait, if you just wanted to give us this, then why in the world did you attack us? Helen shouted, as she stood, feeling lightheaded. As Gregory reached out to steady her.
I needed to attack you. If you weren't the ones in search of this, then there would have been no way that you could have cracked my stone shell. I am sorry for the trouble I caused you. Now hurry. If you don't leave now, you'll be too late. Your friend won't last long without the all-cure.
The group ran to the ship just as it descended, but Jenny stopped and ran back, hugging the man tightly while a few grateful tears fell from her eyes. "Thank you, mister," she whispered, then turned and ran for the ship just as the turbines rose and pushed the boat across the water and into the air. Mr. Giant sighed while his face became hardened. Reaching into his pocket and pulled from it a winged onyx brooch, attaching it to his jacket and touching the blue gem in the center.
The potion has been delivered, Master.
A hazy image of the black mage appeared before him, with smiling eyes. Oops. Whispers hissed all around him, motioning to the side as a young woman with flowing black hair, a ruby-crested hairband, and white wings stepped into the picture. "Hey, Giant! Long time no see! You look as good as ever!" Mr. Giant stared for a while at the young woman before him. There we go. Okay. Mr. Giant stared for a while at the young woman before him. He had found her as just a baby, taking her in and raising her as his own daughter.
Oberon, I see you've come back to pay your father a visit. We'll talk in detail as soon as I get back and settle things with the master.
"Eldon, you know that I don't think of you as my father anymore," she giggled, while Giant rolled his eyes. In her late teenage years, he told her the story of how he had found her, and that he wasn't really her father. She took it in a completely unexpected way, treating him as her lover rather than a father. It was strange, and Eldon couldn't fully accept it, but he would endure it as long as it would help the Black Mage conquer the world. The blurry image of Oberon and the mage winked out as Giant looked up into the shrinking ship that carried Jenny and her friends back to Herbtown.
I'm sorry to have betrayed your trust, Lady Jenny,
he mumbled to himself. Hearing in a plume of dark mana. The group quickly returned to Mulong, allowing Tai Sang to promptly use the items, as well as herbs and roots he had collected for just such a potion. Within minutes, Tai Sang had poured the last drop of the medicine into a bottle and passed it to Jenny, who rushed out the door.
Normally, it would be more potent given a time to stew, but since we don't have that kind of time, it will be just fine.
Irina caught up to her, riding on her personal mount, Shinjo, and took her to Herbtown even faster. When Jenny burst through the door, Olsen was writhing and drenched in sweat. His core temperature had reached a dangerous 107 degrees. Dr. Kim quickly opened the All-Cure and pulled back on the syringe plunger. Pulled back on the syringe plunger, drawing the golden orange liquid into the cylinder. Once sure the air had been squeezed out, he'd squeezed the air out. He connected it to an IV line stuck in Olsen's arm. Jenny knelt beside Olsen's bed and gripped his hand, scared that she hadn't made it in time. The All-Cure flowed into his veins, making them swell and glow a bluish-brown color. Swelling them and turning them a bluish-brown color. Olsen arched his back for a moment before falling silent on the bed, still as a stone. Jenny looked up at the doctor. Who looked back and forth from Olsen to the monitors that continuously scanned his body. Come on, Olsen. You fought it off until now. Don't give up on me, Jenny pleaded, taking his hand in hers. The next few tense moments passed in silence. Everyone held their breath in anticipation, waiting for something to happen. The machine beeped, signaling that his core temperature had fallen. Oops. Signaling that his core temperature had dropped to 104 degrees, and continued to fall with each passing minute. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Jenny collapsed from exhaustion onto the cot, still holding onto Olson's hand. Olson opened his eyes slightly and looked over to Jenny as she slept, smiling and whispering, "Thank you, Jenny." A dark figure waited in the shadows at the edge of Herbtown, watching the people completely watching the people who were completely unaware of the army standing just beyond the light of their torches. The figure searched for Ivan or the Cygnus Knights, but they were nowhere to be seen, nor was any sign given that they had been alerted to his presence.
This will be almost too easy. With only the pirates, the masters, and their children to guard this place, I'll be able to take over with a wave of my hand.
The figure seemed to laugh, waiting just a bit longer before unleashing his troops. Behind him, the Manon dragons and grisly warriors he gathered were itching to charge into the camp and tear it apart. Slowly, Sage King's cat guardians came to him carrying a message to the figure. "If you would like, I would offer the assistance of my cats to help you. I still would like to show that young mage who is really the one to fear." The figure nodded and pointed to different places, different spots among his troops where the cats went, ready to attack. The information about this place hadn't been cheap. But it was well worth it to finally find his prey. Though he had to admit it was obvious where they would have gone. It was a wonder he hadn't found them sooner. Six hours passed. Hold on, let's see. 6 hours after the all cure had been given to Olson, Dr. Kim's scanners detected a diminished viral presence. Mr. Dew came in with a glass of water for Olson, putting a book of his potion recipes on the table. Olson had since been able to sit up, letting Jenny sleep where she sat, still holding his hand. Jenny is a stubborn one. I bet she would have found a cure even without the potion, he said. Mr. Dew, said, offering the glass. Ginny is a stubborn one. I bet she would have found a cure even without the potion, Mr. Dew said, offering the glass to Olson. I have no doubt about that. I do not doubt that, Olson replied, pulling the covers off and getting out of bed to check on the cut in his cheek from fighting King Clang. Slowly and painfully, he pulled the bandage off, revealing the many stitches holding the skin together. Mr. Dew called. Mr. Dew explained. That was done by Dr. Kim. Oops. He did the best he could to patch it up. Even though he stitched it, it will still leave a nasty scar, Mr. Dew explained. Olson smiled and then flinched as the wound buzzed with pain. That's all right. That just means I'll have some character. Unless you go see Grendel or some other healer. Whoa, big yawn. I don't know where that came from. Satisfied with his inspection of the wound, he pulled on the shadow armor and secured his avarice claw, clipping the twin baslud daggers to his belt. Just as he set his hat and secured his Gaia, something made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Danger was close. Really close. With a burst of speed, Olson grabbed Mr. Dew and Jenny, then ran out the door just as a giant fireball crashed into the hut and obliterated everything in it. Olson took... Mr. Dew... Mr. Dew to a safe place while patting Jenny's face to wake her from her sleep. When she had once awake, the two of them returned to the village, seeing hundreds of Manon and Grizzlies shredding the town and killing anyone who came too close. Olson spotted a child and his mother trapped in a corner by a grizzly, the mother pleading while the bear sharpened his claws. Olson put all he had strained his legs to move as fast as he could. He hurled stars at the bear's paw, but missed as the bear began to swing. Olson screamed at the top of his lungs in frustration, trying to scrape every last ounce of strength out of his legs. But something landed in front of the mother and child, making his claws spark off a golden wall. Go, go, go! Matthew shouted as the two of them ran in the direction Matthew pointed. While he tried to fight off the bear. But even using the ruby crystal's power in tandem with his mana didn't grant him enough speed or strength to bypass the bear's martial defenses. Matthew howled with effort, tucking in his shoulder and pushing the bear back as far as he could. Jenny heard a child in a house cry out for their mother. She and Olsen ran in and tried to wrap the child in his cloak. In Olsen's cloak. But the child refused to move, pulling on the hand of her mother, who lay trapped under a heavy main beam of the house. "Please, just take my daughter and go," she shouted above the roar of fire. "I'm not going anywhere," Olsen growled back, taking his daggers from their sheaths and digging them into the beam, trying to lift it off of her. Try as he might, he just couldn't budge it. All the debris from the house had made it impossible for him to lift. Jenny readied her bow, shooting down the incoming forces as fast as she could. The woman screamed, drawing Olsen's attention to see a man unleashing a blast of flames. Grabbing the child, he knelt. He knelt over the woman, allowing the Crimson Gaia to guard them. Once the Manon had passed, Olsen again tried to lift the massive beam. Jack appeared and grabbed on. Appeared from behind and grabbed on, making the lift more manageable. But even with Jack's brute strength, they still couldn't lift it enough to get her out. Jack growled as a red glow surged through his arms and hands. Inch by inch, the beam rose, but the lifting wasn't fast enough as the man circled back, inhaling deeply. The woman screamed again as she struggled to get free. Olsen and Jack shouted as they tried to lift the beam a bit more before the Manon bore down on them. As the dragon readied to unleash its flames, Lillian cut the dragon in two, leaping through the village and taking down one attacker after another. Aran and the Cygnus Knights appeared soon after, fighting back the incoming onslaught. Jack and Olsen finally freed the mother, which Jack escorted to safety. Whom, Jack? Okay. Oh. Jenny smiled at Olsen and was about to speak when a fireball exploded next to them, hurling them to the far side of the village, still burning with fervor. I don't care. Olsen struggled to his feet, trying to fight back the pounding in his head and survey where he was. But everything had been incinerated to a black wasteland, leaving him unable to gain his bearings. Olsen ran, trying to find some relief from the feverish hell all around him. Everywhere he looked, buildings were either on fire or smoldering piles of charcoal. I need some water. All right, let's see. Actually, give me a second here. I need to look at something. I want to look at something. Not looked. I want to look at something. All right. So what I think we're going to do here is we're going to raid out at the end of this stream over here to somebody named Coffee Quills. She is a fellow writer streamer. She basically streams every single day. And she's currently working... I don't know what story she's working on, but the game she's playing in the background is called For the Words. It's kind of like a I don't know, an RPG kind of fighter game, but depends on how many words you wrote or something like that. I have to look it up again. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's who we're going to go raid out to when we are done here. At least for the Twitch audience. The YouTube audience, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to come with me, but yeah, sorry about that. But if you do get a chance, go look them up. Coffee Quills over on Twitch. If nothing else, at least you'll have some writing buddies to look at. All right. Everywhere he looked, over and over. Olsen. He called out. Oh, big yawn. He called out to his friends, but none of them answered. His search felt like it lasted for hours. Lasted hours with no result. Search felt like hours with no result. With no result until he tripped and fell face first into the slimy, wet ash covering the ground. Matthew, Helen, Jack, Jenny. Where are you? He shouted to the sky until he looked up to see Jenny's arm loosely holding her bow, the sinews broken and burning amidst the flames. Jenny! He exclaimed, running over to her and holding her up, wrapping his mantle around them to shield against the flames. May surprised him as she came up as she tapped on his shoulder. He whirled around. No, okay. When he felt a hand on his shoulder. Drawing his dagger, ready to attack. Only to see it was May with a beginner's bow and a small quiver of arrows. Oh, one too many ends. Olsen, it's me, she called, instantly backing away. Olsen relaxed and turned his attention back to Jenny. Jenny, wake up, he pleaded as he held her close until her eyes fluttered open. Olsen? She whimpered. Olsen felt something on his hand and held it up to the orange light. Seeing it covered in blood. He looked. Whoops. He looked down and saw a branch. Saw that a branch had driven itself through the side of her gut, possibly from a blast. From the blast. I gotta get you out of here and somewhere safe. You're bleeding. He grunted, putting his hands under her, gently picking her up and picking a path through the debris. Sometimes Jenny would wince as the steps moved the wood. Olsen? May called, drawing his attention to a dark figure riding a fierce red dragon hovering above them. A dark cloaked figure. Olsen's blood ran cold, swearing. Oops. It was the black mage. May turned to the dragon, pulling an arrow out of knocking her bow and drawing the sinews tight. May, don't. There's nothing you can do. Even I couldn't do anything. Wouldn't be able to do anything. May, don't. There's nothing you can do. Even I wouldn't be able to do anything. Jenny strained, trying to sit up in Olsen's arms, but stopped by shooting pain in her gut. Ink and play! Welcome, welcome. How you doing this evening? Jenny, you told me once that I could do what you do. I will do it. It should be the parents that protect the children, not the other way around. She let the arrow go, which fell short of its intended target, the dark dragon rider. May, just go. You'll be killed if you stay here. Olsen shouted, as the figure held up his hand and waved it forward, commanding the Manon to breathe their deadly fires on them. Olsen dropped Jenny's leg as he pulled May down under his mantle, bracing himself against the wall of flames. But the fire never came. Olsen slowly lowered the mantle, seeing a massive black dragon, armed in gold-plated armor, with a young man sitting atop the dragon with a glowing blue wand in hand. Leave him to me. He's my enemy and mine alone, the man said, keeping his gaze locked on the figure who narrowed his eyes. The black dragon rider patted the side of his dragon, and charged. The black dragon rider patted the side of his dragon's neck, and charged, obliterating the Manon that stood before their leader. The red dragon rider flew after the other one. Flashes of light appeared in the sky as both dragons and their riders launched powerful attacks at each other. A blast of flames meeting between them lit the area and extinguished the fires. Between them lit the area and extinguished the flames as a wave of wind ripped down to them. A moment later, the red dragon and its rider straight deep into the Minar forest. With their leader gone, the grizzlies and Manons scattered. Another bright explosion lit up the sky, and the red dragon and its rider streaked deep into the Minar forest. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. That is slightly better. Hurling the red dragon and its rider deep into the Minar forest. Okay, there we go. That's even better. I like that a little better than that. The black dragon rider came back and offered a ride for Ginny. Once Olshan was sure Ginny would be taken care of, he found Helen, explaining what he had seen. Explaining that there were cats running away with the rest of the assault. That cats were running. No. He found Helen. Reporting that he'd seen cats running away with the rest of the assault. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. With a disappointed sigh, Helen told him about the guards who stood around Sage King, the one who had given the information about Mono's shell. Olsen slowly clenched his hands. Leather straps on his claw straining. Hot pink flames flared around his body and swayed in the air, making his eyes glow while threads of power felt all over his body. "Take me to him," he growled, trying his best to stay in control. Helen retrieved Oz, who then teleported them right to the Sage King in a hellish firestorm. Sage put down his glass of wine and hovered to the front of his palace. "Helen, let me borrow your Gaia for a moment," Olsen asked, watching the man close in. Once she had given it to him, he began his march to the sage. The sage launched many a magic spell, each easily deflected as blue sparks after hitting the mantle. Olsen appeared standing next to the sage, grabbing him by the shirt. "Did you assist in the attack on the people of Herbtown?" Olsen sneered. The sage grinned, locking eyes with Olsen. "That little wench standing there needs to be taught who is he. Needs to learn who. That little wench standing there needs to learn who she should fear." The sage was silenced as Olsen planted a foot in his face, throwing him to the floor. Yelped as Olsen planted a foot in his face. Okay, there we go. Olsen then hauled him from the ground by his shirt, standing on his chest. "I will ask you one last time. Did you help in the attack on Herbtown?" The sage eyed him with disgust, finally giving him the answer. "Yes. Yes, I did." Olsen swiftly struck him across the face, the edge of metal from his avarice catching Sage's cheek and tearing a small chunk of flesh out. "You bastard! Why don't I do the world a favor and just cut your heart out right here and now?" "You wouldn't be able to do that even if you wanted to. Are you going to throw your life away that your precious Jenny saved?" Olsen clenched his teeth while the power of the pink quartz seeped from his body and surrounded his baslid, moving like flames in a breeze. "Her life is now in danger because of you. If you ask me, I think that you deserve to die for attacking so many innocent people." Helen stepped forward to stop him, but Oz reached out and held her back. shaking her head when Helen glared back at her. Minerva knows what would happen if you interfered right now, Oz whispered. Olson raised his dagger, the blade glowing brightly as he screamed and drove the knife into the rock beside Sage's head, putting a small cut through his ear. If you ever try something like that again, I will kill you, Olson hissed as he stood, sheathing his dagger and walking back to the other two as the sage struggled to sit up. You will regret threatening the Sage King. Olson stopped, and in one quick motion, threw a kunai back. Its blade grazed Sage's cheek and put another cut in his ear before burying itself into the rock wall behind him. Go ahead. Give me reason. The fire of the quartz burned hot in his eyes, making Sage remain quiet as they left in a ball of flames. Once they were gone, Sage healed his wounds while he gritted his teeth. One day, that young ninja would regret making an enemy out of him. As he finished, haunting whispers filled the air around him as the black mage faded into existence before him. What do you mean, a pestilence? What do you mean, a pestilence? Sage asked innocently. The black mage narrowed his eyes, slowly and purposefully walking up to him as more whispers surrounded them, gradually escalating into thousands of anguish-filled voices until he stood over the sage. Sage began grabbing at his throat as finger impressions appeared on his fat neck, picking him up off the ground, his feet twitching and shaking, starting to cough and struggle as the grip around his neck became tighter. Why do you need mere children? They show no respect for those with true power within this world. Besides, that little wench made a threat against me, the Sage King. The attack on the village was just collateral damage. The black mage's eyes narrowed as the sage screamed out, making it echoing through the valley, matched only by an equally loud crack. Crows flew from the trees at the sudden loud noise. The black mage dropped the fat corpse to the ground, leaving the cooling body for the crows, while his image faded away into the mist, silence hanging thick in the air. All right, and I finished up that chapter. I'll do the final stuff over here on off stream, but that is going to call it for the evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I hope you were at least mildly entertained by what you saw, heard, and or did while we're here. Being that there were no submissions, we are going to continue it on and keep on going until next week. Here are the prompt rules and as well as the actual prompt itself, which is, I can't really see it on the screen there, but together the prompt is this: together we can overcome anything except what you did. So just be sure and follow the rules that are on screen. No more than 1,030 words. Then make sure it can be viewed on Twitch and YouTube. And it can't be part of an existing universe that you have already created. It needs to be its own standalone thing. And then on Friday next week, we shall come together and we shall read said short stories. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing some more editing myself or if I'm going to be playing Minecraft with Pokepens. I forgot to message Pokepens and see if she was going to be up for it or not. Me personally, I did not have the energy to do so. And being that it was over Christmas weekend, she was probably out visiting family or whatnot, so she may not have been available. Either way, I completely forgot to ask her what's going on there. But I will message her this for next Friday and see what she says, whether she's available or not. And we shall go from there. So, yeah. Oh, also, this coming tomorrow, actually, starting at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be going through part 2 of the Illium storyline. We did part 1 last week, and oh boy, it was a doozy. But this week we shall go through part 2, continuing it on, and hopefully getting to the end and see what happens to our beloved tech mage. And then on Wednesday, we'll have a straight-up writing stream. It'll be here on Twitch for my Twitch audience. I know it won't be on the YouTube side of things, but I'll be for my Twitch audience. Because there are things on Twitch that I can do that don't exactly fly on YouTube, just so that way it's a little more interesting. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be doing. And that Wednesday stream will starting at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Anyways, that's kind of what I have in mind. So, let us go and see if we can go shower Coffee Quills with some coins. So, yeah. Thanks for coming, and yeah.
You ready, Eleanor? Then let's go.